Hi guys, it's Nancy Lynn. We're here at the sewing machine today. I've had a couple of people ask me to do some kind of basic sewing type things, and I really wanted to make some more fabric postcards. So this is a good way. I'll kind of go through the machine a little bit and make this kind of a real basic kind of how-to, but really all I'm doing is making these fabric postcards and kind of showing you how that goes together. Throughout I'll do little things like if I run out of bobbin, I'll show you how to do a bobbin. We'll talk about threads and stuff like that all through this. So it's kind of a beginner's how-to, but also showing you how to make fabric postcards. Okay. Everyone has a different technique for these. Mine, I like when I'm sewing, and I have not been doing that a lot lately, is I'll just sit down one day and just cut. These are muslin, and they're 4 by 6. I think they're 4.5 by 6.5, so I can always have room to trim them down. And I just cut up a bunch of them, and I'll just lay them out here beside my sewing machine. And the other two things I do is on a lot of these I might use Pellon, which is a very strong fabric. It's kind of like a fabric cardboard, and it does give these some extra strength, but you don't have to use those. The thing that you probably could you will use is the index cards. These are lined. They don't have to be lined. You're going to cover them anyway, and we're going to sew them on behind there. And these are 4 by 6, and these are the ones that I like to use. And so you're going to have quite a few layers on here, so these really do strengthen them up. Now if you're going to mail them, I might want to use the Pellon, but if you put them in an envelope, they're going to be fine either. So that's the other thing we're going to use. I have scraps of fabric here, lots of itty bitty little pieces, because that's all I'm doing at this point is just pulling on. And I find if I'm doing a sewing project, like I quilt, so I have found that while I'm doing my quilting, I always have little pieces left over, and they're probably going to have things not cut out of them. This one's got a little bit of some kind of interfacing on the back of it, and it's wrinkled. It's nothing fancy. So what I've done is just taken out my little card, and I might play with it for just a few seconds. This one doesn't fit all the way across, and then I could have this one on there. And that one doesn't fit all the way, so I would need something else to go down the strip of that. And I don't have an idea in mind when I do these at first. All I do is just put these together, just to have, like, I'll say, oh, that looks long enough for the card. Okay, so that's there. You're gonna have a mess, girls. If you guys are those tidy people, you could do it very tidily. You could have everything planned out and stuff, but this is my impromptu go-to. Now, I'm probably gonna put this one on there. What am I gonna do with that afterwards? I don't know. All I'm doing is getting my basic foundation down on here. And so when you're sewing, you basically need, you're sewing 2 seams together. Now I have purple thread in here. I'm not, whoop, my light just fell. This does not have a good clinger to it. Put it back there to give us some light. Okay, and hopefully my needle is threaded. Yep, and I'm ready to go. But all I'm doing, I love the frayed edge on here. See that nice pretty frayed edge? And it has some writing and stuff. I don't care. I want to, that is something that I probably want right there at the end. So I need to make sure it's going to be where I'm not going to trim it off. And I might end up having to trim it off. But I've got this piece on here, so I've laid these 2 pieces out. And now I'm just going to take this one and lay it here. And I kind of like the jagged edge. And I might put it, which one do I like better? I think I like it better with it down this way. Now the foot that I have on is a walking foot. I was doing a project and I needed the walking foot. Do I need to change this? No, not really, because actually a walking foot is made to go through multiple layers. Do you need to have your walking foot? No. You can have your standard foot, and later on I'll probably switch back to my standard foot. Now, do I have to sew this straight and make sure? No, we're not. Okay, so here we go. I told you I was going to show you. Here's my thread, and thread comes in different weights. This one is 100% cotton. It comes in different heavinesses. This one might be probably like a 60 weight. Maybe, I don't know. And when you're going to sew your machine, this Singer one, it's always going to show you a diagram on the top of your sewing machine. And it has threading directions. I know, but us girls, we like hands-on. Most of us. So what you're going to do, and let me make sure you guys can see this, and I didn't move it out of frame. Okay. So what we're going to do is the first one, you're going to click it up underneath there. I've clicked it right up underneath there. And then it has a bar that comes behind, so you're going to pull it around the bar. Come around, and you're coming in here, and this is where your thread tension comes in. On some of your machines, you might have a little screw dial. You have to put it around that and bring it around. Next thing, we're going to bring it up to this piece, which brings our needle up and down. Keeps our thread there. And then we're going to come around. You might have a couple of little areas for thread catcher. One is here. My other one is up underneath, and it comes from back here forward. And so we're going to click right around there. Now let me move my machine again. See if I can make you see right up underneath there. And what I'm working on is I'm going to take this piece, bring it around back, and bring it forward. That's going to bring it. Each machine, you have to look at the directions. I know, read directions. Or follow this thing. Some of your machines will go from the front to the back. Others will thread from the right to the left. And I'm sure there's, I've never had one, but it probably maybe comes from the right to the left. So you've got to do this. Now for me, in my eyes, I cannot see. It's by feel. But what I have found is if I take like my Pellon piece and I slip it on underneath, what it does is it highlights that dark area right back there, and then I can just sit here and play and find my needle. Now hopefully you guys have great eyes or fairly good eyes and you can see it, but some days I hit it right on the mark, other days not so much. Now another trick someone had told me was to take a little bit of spit, I know, and put it on the back of the needle, and that helps draw the thread in there somehow. Suction or something does. Sometimes that works real well. If not, let's see where you guys can see what I'm doing here. If not, unscrew, there's a screw under here, turn it towards you to loosen it. That will loosen up your needle. Take your needle out. There is a flat back piece on here, on the needle. and the other half is round. The black goes towards the back. So what I'm going to do is, now I've taken this out, and now all I've got to do, yeah, today is not going to be a good day for threading needles. Usually, this has got a little, I might have to cut this piece. Okay, there we go, boom. So, different techniques for threading the needle. And if this old blind lady can get it in there, may take me a while, and then pull it through. Now what you're going to do is make sure flat back up into the little hole that's in here that holds your needle, and tighten. And that's what I'm doing there right now, is tightening. So now my needle is threaded. So now we've learned how to thread a needle on here. Easy way is, if you can see it, just go front to back and get it in there. If you're like me and you can't see the needle, then you learn other techniques. But that paper, on a day when my eyes are, I can maybe see it a little bit, that lets you see the dark hole. If absolutely nothing else, pull it out so you can see the hole, and then put it in there. Okay, all we're going to do is a straight stitch. My machine is on a 3.5 and a 2.5, and what we're looking at, it's easier for me to move my machine than, is right here. And these are your adjustments, and you can change it to go up or down if you want to change the type of stitch, because mine has several stitches. You use these two buttons. If you want to change the length of your stitch, then you go up. If you want to go change it to go down, then you go down. All right, I'm keeping it at my standard stitch for this. I don't want anything special. I just want my standard stitch. See if I move it here a little bit. I think that might be a little bit better. Trying to find a good spot. I really don't do a lot of sewing and filming. Now all I'm doing, remember, this is just for a little postcard. So this is perfect if you're not sure on stitching or using the machine. It doesn't matter. This is a little postcard. It's a little piece of art. Art is supposed to be wonky. Nothing is supposed to be perfect. Now, when you're taking your thread, there is a little piece over here, and that's your thread cutter. And you just take your thread and wrap it around and cut. Some people love a thread cutter. Give or take it. You'll see me use both. So now what I'm going to do is, now I've got two pieces of fabric on here, but I got this big flipping piece back here. Well, I don't need all that extra bulk. So all I'm going to do is come in and cut up really close. So I have a little bit of a seam allowance under there. But now I'm ready to get rid of that piece. Whoop, it's gone. Now, these frayed edges, it's hard. If you were quilting, you'd be going, oh, frayed edges. I don't worry about them, because I know that I'll end up, they'll all be fine in the end. Now, I got this other real wrinkled piece. This is some kind of batik. And I know that my thing goes from here to here. And I want a piece that's going to be going this way, so I'm going to just fiddle with this. You notice I'm not cutting off any of these other edges that are sticking out. I'm not worried about any of that. The only thing I'm worried about is covering it from this end up to this end. And if I've got my piece that's big enough to do that, then I'm good. Now I can flip this over now that I've got my piece and I've held it. And I can bring it up underneath my needle. My machine has a needle up, needle down. That's what these buttons are here. This little one, you'll see it, the needle go down. I like needle down position. This machine doesn't always hold it. Just so that it gives you an extra hand. So now see, I can fiddle around, I can check to see if all my pieces are lined up so that I know that they're going to be covered. And then I can sew. You can go really slow if you want to, and just check one stitch at a time. If you're not really, you know, if you're afraid, this machine has speed for a reason, to go fast and to go slow. And then I can push my needle up, and we're going there. Okay, now I'm going to move my machine out of the way. Now what we have is this piece here, but I have all this extra here, and I have all this extra here. First thing I'm going to do is come along the back and just trim up the back, so it's kind of even. I know I don't want it hanging out here, although I could. You were doing an art quilt? Yeah, but with the postcards, you want it to be pretty much. Now I have this big piece that's hanging out this way, so I'm going to cut this one. And so here we go, we're getting it. Now I have to look and go, do I like this? Is it livable? Remember, this is quick thinking. I am not doing a lot with this. And I do kind of like that it's coming out there. I don't know what it'll be later. So what I think I am going to do is just do, and I got purple in, so I can do, and I'm just going to, this is called like a top stitch. You guys see me? And all I'm doing is just going around. I'm not worried about, I'm leaving raw edges. I am not worried about it. And I'm just basically following the outline, this, of the purple fabric, and I'm in maybe an 1/8 to 1/4 of an inch. And all this is doing is holding down my fabric. Got it done. So now we've got this. Now you want to look and make sure everything is covered. And there's a little piece missing there, but I had cut off some of this green here, but, and do I want the same color green? Or maybe I want a spurt of this purple over here. Maybe I'm like, or do I want a littler piece of purple? I don't need much over there, and it might even, this may even be cut off at the end. I'm not sure, but I want enough to cut it there. Okay, so all I'm going to do with this piece is just tack it down. Turn it, flip it, come back the other way. And now I will make a stack of these. Is that, there it is. This light is not very good over here, I don't think. All I'm doing is making a stack of these. And I'm going to put them over here on my ironing surface. And I'll get a bunch of them done, and then I'll iron it down. And then it'll be ready for the next step. Alright, let's go. We've got another piece of our muslin. Oh, here's another piece of purple. Like that. And I'm just playing. Try that. And let's see, that's how long it is. So now I can get rid of that piece. Let's see what else I got here. No, it's got flags and stuff. That's not going to go with. Grabbed a lot of purple. What is it? Mardi Gras colors. A little bit yellow. Alright, so maybe this one I want to come in with up this way. So now I've got the two at an angle. And I'm going to pull that over to cover that because it will cover it on this side. And once again, I just want to make sure I've got enough overlap on my fabrics that it's going to hold. You can see I've got that much of an overlap so that it's going to hold, and I just need to make sure underneath I always have, now I'm going to have a lot more as I come up this way, but I just need to make sure I have the minimum of a lap. And this is what happens sometimes. We ran out of bobbin. Or did our needle come unthreaded again? No, our needle came unthreaded again. It is gonna be one, wrap it around, pull it through, wrap it around, make sure you get it around all the spots. And this, I've been sewing through paper with this needle, so I might need to change the needle. We'll try it one more time. If your thread starts to break, there's a few, it's not, oh, my machine. No, it's either you've used your needle quite a bit and the needle might be starting to get a little worn, so it's not, it's cutting the thread as it goes through. Let's see, even here today, I'm not getting a good. This may not have been a good day, guys, to do this, but you just gotta laugh at yourself and just keep on going. Remember, flat back, round front. Well, now you guys are seeing what I go through. Some days this does perfectly. Each one of the technique. There we go. You just have to be a little patient with it. And with your eyes going, you have to be a lot more patient. And I guess that's what this whole thing is teaching me, is patience. Make sure you put it in with the back going back. Make sure you push it all the way up. Push it up as far as you can. Tighten that little holder. Find your thread. Be careful when you pull it, because if you pull the wrong side to find your end, it is going to pull back out on you. Okay, so we've got that. Let's try this one again. We've got, make sure we got enough of our, to make a little seam. Now this is basically kind of a crazy quilting type thing. Now what you've got is your seam all the way down. Now I don't want this purple, I know that, so I'm just going to separate it from the back. This is not going to be going through a lot of use, so I'm not worried. Some places I might have a 1/16 of an inch. Oh, now see that right there? Oh, we can fix that at a weak spot. Either that or I cut it. But we'll fix it. These are all the things that might happen when you're sewing. And that, I'm going to put a piece of lace over it. I think the thread, the material's just getting weak. Or I could just come along. No, we're going to go to this end. Now, can I just sew one piece of fabric on here and make the background? Yeah. All I'm doing is tacking this down because I know I'm going to be going over it with another piece. But all I did was sew, excuse me, all along there, and I went up and off. That way I've ended it and I didn't have a loose edge right there. Okay, so now we've got this. Looks wild and crazy. Ooh, now this was a piece that I had, looks like rolled my brayer on, but it's got some possibilities. I don't know if it'll tear. Sometimes the paint, oh, nope, it's going to tear. So we're tearing off a piece of that. And, oh, that looks hard, but at the same time it looks cool. No, we'll save that one for another piece. Now there's a green piece that was painted. And I do like that. I'm just going to cut those off, and this will be quick and easy. This is all scrap thread. I know people go, oh my God, you're cutting off all the fabric. It's stuff that should have probably gone in the trash anyway. This is the ends, the leftovers, the pieces that nobody would want. Alright, so now I'm coming back in and I'm just going to trim it up to my muslin. And that's the only reason I use the muslin, is it allows me to sew all these pieces together, and it tells me about where my card is going to be lengthwise. Now this one, this is going to be a long one. It's alright, we might get one out of it and then we might get something else out of it. Alright, so now we're all trimmed down. And you notice I just keep throwing my pieces back in this bucket back here. That's my... Alright, so now I have this piece, all that. I'm going to stack it with my other ones and just keep going. This is a great way if you haven't learned to sew before and you're kind of afraid and you're like, oh, I don't want to waste material. Or just cut up a few pieces. Now this is a pretty piece, and I probably shouldn't be cutting into it, because every once in a while a big piece will get in there. But you know what? I like this piece, and for some reason these are like uber long. Here they go. Here's the right size. I hadn't finished trimming some of those down. All right, there's my 4.5 by 6.5 piece. See if there's any cuts in here. Yeah, here's a piece that's cut. So I might, all I'm going to do is figure out, whoop, there we go. You can take, cut, rip to about where you think you might want it, cut, rip. And what that's going to do is give you these pretty frayed edges. Okay, now we're going to do the same thing. Now I like that piece. Pretty with a bigger flower on the front of it for the postcard. Really cute saying. And I kind of like this. So what I'm going to do is cut, rip, and I'm going to put that. Now, if I didn't want to show raw edges with this and I was just using this piece here, all I would have to do is lay this piece with the right side, which this fabric doesn't have a right or a wrong side, but I would put the right side of the fabrics towards the right side of the fabrics. And now I'm just going to use this as my guideline because they should be pretty even under there, and they are. And now I'm just going to come in Okay, we're back. My 20-minute warning went off, so I guess this is going to be in 2 videos, or 3, or 4. It'll be in some. Now what I have are my 2 pieces, and they're sewn together, but if you see this time, my edges are finished. So there's no fraying on this. So on this one I didn't. Remember, cut, turn over, cut. Throw that piece back into your pile. Let's get all this back into our pile. Because always when you finish a project, you're going to have some stuff. And so now that's what I've got there. That's kind of pretty. We're going to do that. We'll grab another one. There we go. And let's see. Now, I really do like this red. Gotta find some color in my bucket. And like I said, I don't think about what I throw in this bucket. I just throw in there. And I just kind of look until I find what I'm looking for. And sometimes I do and sometimes I don't. Oh, here's a little bag of red fabric. This is a bag of fabric strips. I don't even remember where I got it. It was